My wife had an affair with her boss and was planning to leave me, but when her sister caught him with another woman in his apartment, she realized she made a huge mistake and wanted me back, but I told her it was too late. I never imagined I would be sharing my story here, but I need to get this off my chest. I am Robert, 30 years old, and until recently, I thought I had a perfect marriage with Samantha, 28F. We met during our final year of college at a mutual friend's birthday party. I remember that night clearly. She was the most outgoing person in the room, while I stood in the corner nursing my drink. Somehow, she noticed me and spent the whole evening making me laugh. That was 7 years ago. Our relationship moved quickly after that. We dated for 2 years before getting married. During those 2 years, we were inseparable. We moved in together after 6 months, adopted a dog together, and started planning our future. Samantha was everything I ever wanted: smart, funny, ambitious, and she somehow balanced out my more introverted nature. We got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by both our families. Everyone said we were perfect together. I come from a close-knit family. My parents have been married for 35 years, and my older brother Mike has always been my best friend. Samantha fit right into our family dynamic. My mom treated her like the daughter she never had, and my dad would always say how lucky I was to find someone so special. Her family welcomed me just as warmly. Her parents included me in everything: family vacations, weekly dinners, holiday traditions. Her younger sister Emma became one of my closest friends. Samantha works at a leading marketing firm in our city. She's always been career-driven, and I supported her ambitions completely. She worked hard to climb the corporate ladder, and I was so proud when she got promoted to senior marketing manager last year. That's when everything started changing, though I didn't see it at the time. About a year ago, their firm hired a new creative director, Matthew, 32M. Samantha mentioned him casually at first, just work stuff, talking about projects they were collaborating on. I even met him at the company Christmas party. He seemed like a nice guy, charming and professional. I remember joking with Samantha about how all the single women in the office probably had a crush on him. Looking back, I wish I had paid more attention to how she smiled awkwardly at that comment. The changes were subtle at first. Samantha started staying late at work more often. She said they had big clients and important deadlines. I believed her because she had always been dedicated to her job. But then other things started happening. She became protective of her phone, always turning it face down when I was around. She changed her phone password, saying it was for work security. She started going out more for work events and client meetings. I trusted her completely. We had been through so much together, buying our first house, supporting each other through career changes, being there for her sister Emma when her marriage fell apart due to her husband's infidelity. Emma's divorce was particularly hard on everyone. Samantha was so angry at her ex-brother-in-law for cheating, which makes the current situation even more ironic. The truth came out in the most unexpected way. Last month, Samantha was taking a shower, and her laptop was open on the kitchen counter. A message notification popped up from Matthew. I had never snooped through her things before. I respected her privacy and trusted her completely. But something about that message caught my eye. It said only "What time are you coming over tonight?" but it was almost 9 p.m., and Samantha hadn't mentioned any work events. I clicked on the message thread, and my whole world collapsed. There were hundreds of messages between them going back months. They weren't just talking about work, they were planning a future together. Messages about how they would break the news to everyone, how they just needed to wait for the right time, how they couldn't wait to be together properly. There were intimate messages that made me sick to my stomach. Photos they had sent each other. Plans they had made. They had even discussed which neighborhoods they might want to live in together. When Samantha came out of the shower, I was sitting at the kitchen counter, still staring at her laptop. She knew immediately what had happened. She started crying before I could even say anything. She admitted to everything. She said she had fallen in love with Matthew, that it wasn't planned, that it just happened. She said our marriage had become routine and predictable, that Matthew made her feel excited about life again. She claimed she was going to tell me soon, that she wanted to be honest but couldn't find the right time. As if there's ever a right time to tell your spouse you've been having an affair. I couldn't stay in the house after that. I packed a bag and went to my brother Mike's place. He was furious when I told him everything. Mike has always been protective of me, and seeing me broken like this brought out a rage in him I had never seen before. He wanted to go confront Matthew, but I told him it wasn't worth it. The next day was a blur of phone calls and messages. Samantha's parents called me first. Her mom was crying, saying she couldn't believe her daughter would do something like this. Her dad, who had always treated me like a son, could barely speak. They kept apologizing as if it was their fault somehow. Emma came to see me too. Having gone through her own divorce due to infidelity, she knew exactly what I was feeling. She hugged me and apologized for her sister's behavior, saying she never thought Samantha would do something like this. Samantha kept calling and texting throughout the day. She said she would end things with Matthew if I gave her another chance. She said we could work through this, that she had made a mistake, that she still loved me. But how could I believe anything she said anymore? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages between them. How could I ever trust her again? She threw away 5 years of marriage for someone she had known for barely a year. The hardest part was telling my parents. They had just helped us pick out new furniture for our house the previous weekend. My mom had been talking about grandchildren, and my dad was planning to help us build a deck in the backyard. When I told them, my mom started crying, and my dad just sat there in silence. The look of disappointment on his face wasn't directed at me, but it still hurt. I've been staying at Mike's place for the past few weeks while I figure out what to do next. Samantha is still living in our house, still going to work, still seeing Matthew. Our friends are divided on the situation. Some think I should try to work things out with her, give her another chance. They say marriages can survive infidelity if both people are committed to fixing things. Others say I deserve better, that I should move on and find someone who won't betray me like this. I know I can't forgive her, at least not right now. The trust is completely shattered. Every time my phone rings and I see her name, my stomach turns. How can you rebuild a marriage when every happy memory is now tainted by the knowledge that she was planning to leave me all along? Right now, I'm just trying to get through each day and figure out my next steps. Update 1. I want to start by thanking everyone who commented on my last post. Your support and advice helped me get through some really dark days. These past 2 weeks have been a roller coaster, and things have gotten even more complicated than before. After I moved out, Samantha started telling her version of events to anyone who would listen. She painted herself as the victim of a loveless marriage, claiming I had been distant and cold for years. According to her, our marriage was already falling apart, and Matthew just happened to be there when she needed emotional support. She told our friends that I worked too much, that I didn't give her enough attention, that we had grown apart. None of that was true. Sure, we had our issues like any couple, but nothing that justified what she did. Our friend group started taking sides. People who had been at our wedding, who had spent holidays with us, suddenly had opinions about our marriage. Some stopped talking to me completely, believing Samantha's version of events. Others reached out privately to offer support, saying they had noticed how close she and Matthew had become at work events. One friend even admitted she had seen them having lunch together multiple times but didn't want to cause trouble by telling me. Last week, things took a dramatic turn. Samantha showed up at Mike's place unannounced. She was dressed up, looking confident, and told me she had made her decision. She was choosing Matthew and wanted a divorce. She said he made her happier than she had ever been with me, that they were planning to move in together, and that she hoped I could be happy for her eventually. The way she said it, so casual and composed, like she was discussing weekend plans, made my blood boil. But I kept my cool and simply agreed to the divorce. What else could I do? She moved in with Matthew that weekend. Her parents were devastated all over again. Her mom called me crying, apologizing for her daughter's behavior. She said she didn't recognize the person Samantha had become. Her dad, who had always been so proud of her, couldn't even talk about it without getting angry. But then, 3 days ago, everything changed again. Emma called me late in the evening, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. She had gone to Matthew's apartment building after work. She wanted to confront him about destroying her sister's marriage, to tell him what his actions had done to our families. But when she got to his floor, she saw something that shocked her. Through the window next to his front door, she saw Matthew with another woman. Not Samantha, but Sarah, one of their co-workers from the marketing department. They weren't just talking, they were clearly intimate, comfortable with each other in a way that suggested this wasn't their first time together. Emma, still in shock, took out her phone and recorded a short video. She sent it to Samantha immediately. Less than an hour later, Samantha showed up at Mike's place. She was hysterical, makeup running down her face, barely able to stand. She confessed that Matthew had been seeing Sarah the entire time he was with her. Apparently, he had been juggling both relationships for months, telling each woman what she wanted to hear. Samantha had given up our marriage for a man who couldn't even be faithful to his affair partner. She fell to her knees in front of me, begging me to take her back. She said she had made the biggest mistake of her life, that what we had was real and Matthew was just a fantasy. She promised to do anything to fix our marriage, to spend the rest of her life making it up to me. She said she would quit her job, cut off all contact with Matthew, go to counseling, whatever I wanted. The strange thing was, I felt nothing watching her break down. No satisfaction at her pain, no desire to comfort her, just a hollow emptiness where my love for her used to be. I told her to leave. She refused, saying she would sleep on Mike's couch, stay in his garage, anything to prove how sorry she was. Eventually, Mike had to physically escort her to the door. Since then, she's been calling and texting constantly. Her messages swing between desperate apologies and angry accusations. 1 minute she's saying she was stupid and blind, that she threw away the best thing in her life. The next she's asking how I can be so cruel, how I can throw away 5 years of marriage without trying to fix things. Our families are torn about what to do. Her parents, who were furious with her before, are now pushing me to consider giving her another chance. They say everyone makes mistakes, that marriage is about forgiveness and growth. They keep reminding me about all the good times, about how much we loved each other. My parents, on the other hand, think I'm better off without her. My dad says once trust is broken, it can never be fully repaired. The most frustrating part is how some of our mutual friends are reacting. They're suggesting I'm being too harsh, that I should at least hear her out. They keep saying people can change, that relationships can survive infidelity if both people are committed to fixing things. One friend even had the nerve to say that this could make our marriage stronger in the long run. But they don't understand. This wasn't just a mistake, a moment of weakness. Samantha made conscious choices every day for months. She lied to my face, planned a future with another man, and was ready to throw away our marriage. The only reason she's sorry now is because her fantasy imploded. If Matthew hadn't been caught with Sarah, she would still be with him, still thinking she made the right choice. How can I ever trust someone who only regrets their actions because their plan B didn't work out? Update 2. I need to update everyone on what happened in the last few weeks, and honestly, just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, they did. The revelations that have come out have shocked even those who thought they knew the whole story. Emma came to see me again last weekend. After catching Matthew with Sarah, she couldn't let go of the feeling that there was more to the story. She started asking around, talking to people who had worked with Matthew at his previous jobs. What she uncovered was disturbing, to say the least. Apparently, Matthew had a pattern. This wasn't his first time pursuing married women at work. At his last 3 companies, he had done exactly the same thing. He would target women in committed relationships, usually ones who had some influence in the company. He would start by being the perfect colleague, supportive, understanding, always there to listen. Then he would slowly escalate things, making them feel special, different from everyone else. Once he had them hooked, he would convince them to leave their partners, promising them a perfect future together. But here's the truly sickening part: Samantha knew about this. One of Matthew's former co-workers, Lisa, had actually reached out to Samantha 4 months ago through LinkedIn. She warned Samantha about Matthew's history, told her about how he had destroyed multiple marriages at his previous workplace. Lisa had been one of his victims and wanted to prevent it from happening to someone else. But Samantha was so caught up in her fantasy that she dismissed Lisa as a jealous ex, someone trying to ruin her happiness. Emma found all this out when she connected with Lisa herself. Meanwhile, Samantha has been desperately trying to reconcile. She sent me a lengthy email last week, 12 pages long, detailing everything that happened. She wrote about how Matthew manipulated her, how she realizes now that she was just another conquest for him. But buried in the middle of all her explanations and apologies was something that made my stomach turn. She confessed that during our marriage, she had been secretly putting money aside in a separate account, planning for her future with Matthew. When I confronted her about the money, the truth came pouring out. She had been siphoning money from our joint savings account, the one we were using to save for a house down payment. She had moved almost $40,000 over the past 6 months. She and Matthew had been planning to move to Denver, where they had already looked at houses online and reached out to real estate agents. All of this was happening while I was talking to her about starting a family, while we were having dinner with our parents every week, while we were planning vacations together. I checked our bank statements, and sure enough, there were regular transfers to an account I didn't recognize. She had been so methodical about it, taking small amounts at a time so I wouldn't notice. When I asked her about specific transfers, she broke down completely. She admitted that Matthew had helped her plan this, advised her on how to move the money without raising suspicions. They had even opened a joint account together, something I discovered when I started gathering documents for the divorce. The irony is crushing. While I was working extra hours to save for what I thought was our future home, she was using that money to plan her escape with Matthew. She had even started looking at job opportunities in Denver, updating her resume, all while sleeping next to me every night. Matthew, meanwhile, has moved on as if nothing happened. He's openly dating Sarah now, not even trying to hide it at work. They take lunch breaks together, attend office meetings as a couple, and I heard they're already planning a vacation together. Samantha has to watch all of this play out every day at work. She finally quit her job last week, saying she couldn't handle seeing them together anymore. She's moved back in with her parents and calls me daily, sometimes multiple times a day, begging for another chance. The whole situation at her workplace has become toxic. Other employees have started taking sides, and rumors are flying about Matthew's past relationships. Several women have come forward with similar stories about him from other companies. There's talk about reporting him to HR, but so far, nothing has come of it. Samantha's career, which she was so proud of, is now in shambles, and her professional reputation is severely damaged. Update 3. This will be my final update. The divorce proceedings are moving forward, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. These past few months have been a journey I never expected to take, but I'm coming out stronger on the other side. Samantha made one last desperate attempt at reconciliation 2 weeks ago. She showed up at my new apartment unannounced. I had moved out of Mike's place last month, needing my own space to heal and rebuild. She came carrying a box full of our old photos, letters, and mementos from our relationship. She had prepared what seemed like a rehearsed speech about how we could rebuild our relationship, make it stronger than before. She talked about going to counseling, about how she would spend the rest of her life making it up to me. She even brought a detailed plan of how we could work through our issues, complete with timelines and goals. She sat on my couch for nearly 2 hours, crying and talking about all our good memories. She brought up our first date, our wedding day, the trips we took together. She talked about how she had destroyed everything good in her life for a fantasy that turned out to be a lie. She even offered to sign a postnuptial agreement, giving me full control of our finances if I would just give her another chance. I listened to everything she had to say, but my decision hadn't changed. I told her that trust, once broken, can never be fully restored. I explained that even if we tried to reconcile, I would always be wondering if she was being honest with me, always looking for signs of betrayal. That's no way to live, and certainly no way to rebuild a marriage. The look on her face when she finally understood it was really over, that nothing she could say or do would change my mind, was heartbreaking. But for the first time, I think she truly accepted it. She cried, of course, but it was different this time. It wasn't the manipulative crying from before, but a genuine acceptance of the consequences of her actions. As for Matthew and Sarah, their relationship imploded spectacularly. Word got around about his pattern of behavior, and several other women from the company came forward with stories about his inappropriate advances. Sarah eventually discovered that he had been pursuing one of the new interns while dating her. Last I heard, he's already seeing someone else, and Sarah has requested a transfer to another department. The company's HR department finally launched an investigation into Matthew's behavior after multiple complaints. He's been placed on administrative leave pending the investigation. Karma, as they say, has a way of catching up. I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. I joined a local sports club and started playing basketball again, something I had given up after getting married because Samantha always complained about how much time it took. I'm reconnecting with old friends who had drifted away during my marriage. Mike and I are planning a 2-week hiking trip next month, something we used to do every year before I got married. The divorce should be finalized within the next month. Samantha agreed to pay back all the money she took from our joint savings, with interest. She's been making regular payments, which I think is her way of trying to show remorse. It's not about the money anymore. I'm doing well enough at work and recently got a promotion, but it's a matter of principle. Her parents still reach out occasionally. They're good people who got caught in an awful situation. Her mom still sends me birthday cards, and her dad called last week just to check on me. I keep those conversations short but polite. They were part of my life for 7 years, and despite everything that happened, I don't harbor any ill will toward them. I don't hate Samantha anymore. I don't wish her ill, but I don't want her in my life either. Some wounds don't heal, you just learn to live with the scars they leave behind. The pain has lessened, and I'm starting to look forward to what the future might hold. For now, I'm focused on becoming the best version of myself, someone who knows his worth and won't settle for less than he deserves.